Hi guys, today we are going to find out what if the Spartans had won at Thermopylae? You stand at the narrow pass, watching bronze-clad warriors form an impenetrable wall of shields and spears. The morning sun glints off Persian armor as Xerxes' endless army crashes against Spartan steel like waves against an unbreakable cliff. You probably won't survive this bloodbath, but neither will most of history as you know it. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your location and local time in the comments below. Now, sit back and let's dive into today's alternate journey together. You witness the impossible unfold before your eyes. King Leonidas doesn't fall to Persian arrows. Instead, his tactical genius and the narrow pass work exactly as planned. Persian corpses pile so high that Xerxes' reinforcements literally climb over mountains of their own dead. The god king himself, watching his immortals prove decidedly mortal, makes the fateful decision to retreat. You watch the largest army the world has ever seen turn tail and flee, leaving behind weapons, gold, and the myth of Persian invincibility shattered forever. You follow the Persian retreat as panic spreads faster than wildfire across the empire. From your vantage point, you see satraps receiving news of their god king's humiliation and making swift calculations. Why bow to a defeated ruler when independence beckons? Babylon declares itself free within days, followed by Egypt, then the eastern provinces. The Persian communication system, once the empire's greatest strength, now becomes its weakness as every corner learns of Xerxes' disgrace simultaneously. You witness Xerxes himself, once the master of the known world, reduced to a paranoid shell of his former self. Back in Persepolis, he executes generals who bring bad news and promotes flatterers who promise easy victories. His treasury, drained by the failed Greek campaign, can't fund the armies needed to crush the rebellions. You watch the mighty Persian Empire, built over centuries, crumble in mere months, victim of its own impossible scale and the psychological impact of a single, devastating defeat. You stand in the agora of Athens as news of Spartan victory arrives, watching centuries of Greek rivalry dissolve in a single moment. The Athenians, who once mocked Spartan simplicity, now praise their warrior discipline. You see Corinthians, Thebans, and Argives setting aside old grudges as they realize something unprecedented: a Greek force has defeated the greatest empire on earth. The messenger's words echo through every city-state: if Sparta can break Persian power, imagine what united Greece could accomplish. You witness the birth of the Hellenic League under Spartan leadership, as King Leonidas becomes the de facto commander of all Greek forces. Unlike the loose alliances of the past, this unity is forged in victory rather than desperation. You watch as Spartan officers arrive in Athens to coordinate defenses, while Athenian ships prepare to serve under Spartan admirals. The irony isn't lost on you: democracy and oligarchy, philosophy and militarism, all united under the blood-red cloak of Spartan supremacy. You march alongside the greatest army Greece has ever assembled as it crosses the Hellespont in pursuit of fleeing Persians. The roles have reversed: now you're the invader, and the Persian Empire is scrambling to defend itself. You watch Greek ships dominate the very waters where Xerxes once built his bridge of boats. City after city opens its gates as your forces approach, their populations cheering liberation from Persian rule. The Greek colonies of Asia Minor, oppressed for generations, welcome you as heroes returning to reclaim their birthright. You witness the systematic dismantling of Persian power as Spartan-led forces establish new Greek territories across Asia Minor. Unlike the Persians who ruled through fear and tribute, you see the Greeks implementing a different model: military colonies that serve as both defensive outposts and cultural beacons. You watch as the famous Spartan discipline transforms these frontier settlements into fortified cities that radiate Greek values deep into formerly Persian lands. The Mediterranean balance of power shifts eastward as Greece becomes an empire in its own right. You observe the revolutionary transformation sweeping through Greece as the Spartan military system becomes the gold standard for all city-states. The agoge, once exclusive to Sparta, now spreads across the Hellenic world as every Greek city seeks to replicate Spartan success. You watch young Athenians, Corinthians, and Thebans undergoing brutal training regimens that would have been unthinkable before Thermopylae. The soft philosophers and merchants of yesterday are forging their sons into bronze-hard warriors of tomorrow. You witness the emergence of a new Greek identity built around military excellence rather than individual city-state loyalty. The old distinctions between Dorian and Ionian, between democrat and oligarch, fade as every Greek citizen becomes first and foremost a warrior. You see temples dedicated to Ares rising alongside those of Athena, while the symposiums that once discussed poetry now debate tactics and strategy. The Greece emerging from this transformation is unrecognizable, harder, more disciplined, and infinitely more dangerous to its enemies. You stand on the walls of a Greek coastal city as Persian ships appear on the horizon, Xerxes' final gambit to reclaim his shattered empire. This time, however, you're not watching 300 Spartans face impossible odds. You're witnessing the mobilization of a militarized Greece that has spent years preparing for this moment. Every harbor bristles with warships, every hilltop fortress teems with bronze-clad warriors, and every citizen knows their role in the coming battle. The Persians are sailing into a trap decades in the making. You watch the naval battle unfold as Greek triremes, now crewed by warriors trained in Spartan discipline, smash through Persian lines with methodical precision. On land, you see the coordinated assault that breaks Persian forces completely, no desperate last stands this time, just overwhelming Greek superiority applied with surgical efficiency. As Persian survivors flee eastward, you realize you've witnessed the death of an empire. Xerxes' broken fleet limps back to shores that will never again threaten Greek independence. You witness the transformation of Sparta from a single city-state into the heart of a sprawling empire. The Spartans, once content to dominate the Peloponnese, now find themselves administrators of territories stretching from Sicily to the Black Sea. You watch as Spartan governors establish military colonies throughout the Mediterranean, each one a miniature Sparta complete with its own helot population and warrior elite. The red cloak becomes a symbol of authority from Egypt to the Danube. You observe the genius of Spartan imperial administration. Unlike the Persians who ruled through distant satraps, the Spartans plant actual Spartan citizens as colonial rulers. You see these governor-kings implementing the Spartan social system wherever they go, creating a network of militarized city-states all loyal to Lacedaemon. The Mediterranean becomes a Spartan lake, with trade routes protected by Spartan naval bases and merchant vessels escorted by ships bearing the Lambda shield. This isn't conquest, it's the methodical expansion of the Spartan way of life across the known world. You walk through the streets of Athens and barely recognize the city that once prided itself on democratic debate and artistic achievement. The Parthenon still stands, but now it's flanked by a massive gymnasium where Athenian youth train in combat rather than rhetoric. You see the academy where Plato once taught philosophy now producing military strategists and tactical theorists. The very language of Greek culture has shifted, where once citizens spoke of beauty and wisdom, now they discuss honor and duty. You witness the profound transformation of Greek intellectual life as Spartan values reshape everything from art to architecture. The delicate sculptures of Praxiteles give way to bronze monuments celebrating military victories. Theater, once dominated by the psychological complexity of Sophocles, now features plays about heroic last stands and glorious deaths in battle. You realize that the Greece emerging from Spartan dominance is creating a fundamentally different civilization, one where the warrior's virtue has replaced the philosopher's wisdom as the highest human achievement. You stand on the 7 hills of Rome as news arrives of Greek expansion into southern Italy. The Romans, once content to dominate central Italy, now face a militarized Greece that views the Italian peninsula as its natural sphere of influence. You watch Roman senators debate frantically: do they submit to Greek hegemony or fight the most disciplined military force the world has ever seen? The decision will determine whether Rome becomes a Greek client state or rises to challenge Spartan supremacy through sheer necessity. You witness the birth of a very different Roman Republic, one forged in the crucible of constant warfare against Greek colonial expansion. The Romans, facing Spartan-trained enemies, accelerate their own military innovations out of pure survival instinct. You see the Roman legions developing new tactics, new weapons, and new organizational structures decades earlier than in your timeline. The pressure of fighting Greek forces transforms Rome from a regional power into a military machine capable of challenging the Spartan Empire itself, setting the stage for a clash that will reshape the ancient world. You gaze across a world where the descendants of Leonidas 300 have created a civilization built on the principle that might makes right. The Spartan Empire stretches from the Atlantic to the Indus, unified not by law or culture but by the universal application of military discipline. You see a society where every citizen is a soldier, every city a fortress, and every generation raised to value death before dishonor. The philosophical schools of Athens have given way to military academies, while the democratic experiments of the classical age seem like distant dreams. You contemplate the profound implications of this alternate timeline as you watch Spartan ships patrol seas that might have known Roman galleys or Persian vessels. Western civilization has taken a radically different path, one where the warrior's code replaced the philosopher's wisdom, where discipline trumped democracy, and where the individual existed solely to serve the state. The Renaissance might never come, for who needs art when you have perfect military formations? The Enlightenment seems impossible in a world where questioning authority is the ultimate crime. You realize that the price of Spartan victory at Thermopylae was nothing less than the soul of Western civilization itself, traded for the cold efficiency of the perfect military state. As you step back from this alternate timeline, you realize that history's greatest victories often carry the seeds of unexpected consequences. The Spartan triumph at Thermopylae, which seemed like such a heroic moment, ultimately created a world where military efficiency replaced human creativity, where discipline crushed individual expression, and where the very concepts of democracy and philosophical inquiry never had the chance to flourish. The Western world you know, with its art, literature, scientific inquiry, and political freedoms, might never have existed if those 300 Spartans had achieved their impossible victory. Perhaps the real lesson isn't about military tactics or ancient warfare, but about the delicate balance between order and freedom, between security and creativity, between the warrior's duty and the citizen's rights. The Greece that fell to Persia gave us democracy, philosophy, and the foundation of Western thought. The Greece that might have conquered Persia gave us only endless war. What do you think would be worse, living under Persian rule or in a world where Spartan military discipline had crushed every other value? Share your thoughts below.